Nearly 2 billion people currently identify as Muslim. This global population traces its spiritual lineage back to a single moment of isolation in a desert cave 14 centuries ago. In the early 7th century, the Arabian Peninsula was a patchwork of warring polytheistic tribes. Life was defined by local blood feuds and shifting alliances, tucked between the borders of the declining Byzantine and Persian empires. In 610 CE, a merchant named Muhammad reported receiving a series of divine revelations demanding strict monotheism and social equality. These messages were eventually compiled into the Quran, which is the central religious text of Islam. Faced with persecution in Mecca, Muhammad and his followers migrated to the city of Medina in 622 CE. In this new environment, Muhammad's role evolved into that of a political administrator, drafting the laws and civil codes required to govern a growing community. He established the Medina Charter, a formal constitution that organized Muslims, Jews, and pagan tribes into a single political body. The document redefined identity around shared civic responsibility rather than ancestral tribal lines. By Muhammad's death in 632 CE, this system of religious and political integration had spread across the entire Arabian Peninsula, bringing the diverse tribes under a single, centralized leadership for the first time in history. Muhammad's mission provided the organizational tools to turn a region of chronic instability into a disciplined and unified power, creating a new type of social order in the ancient world. Within decades of the Prophet's death, Islamic armies moved beyond the desert and swallowed the territories of the neighboring superpowers, capturing key regions from Syria and Egypt to the heart of Persia. This new empire was led by a caliph, a title meaning successor. However, a bitter crisis over the legitimate line of succession quickly fractured the community into two competing camps. The majority, who became the Sunnis, believed the leader should be elected from the Prophet's tribe. A smaller group, the Shiites, argued that leadership was a divine right reserved for the Prophet's family, specifically his cousin Ali. Even as this internal divide deepened, the Umayyad dynasty pushed the growing empire's borders to their absolute furthest extent, governing a territory that reached from the Atlantic coast of Spain to the Indus River Valley in India. These early conquests reached a massive geographic scale, but the dispute over lineage created a permanent religious and political fault line that continues to shape the modern Middle East. In 750 CE, the Abbasid dynasty took control and moved the imperial capital to Baghdad. This move shifted the focus of the empire away from Arab military expansion and toward building a cosmopolitan center of administration and learning. They founded the House of Wisdom, a massive library and research hub where scholars gathered to translate the scientific and philosophical texts of Greece, India, and Persia into Arabic. This anatomical diagram demonstrates the era's advanced understanding of optics. Abbasid scholars utilized these translations to drive original breakthroughs in algebra, spherical trigonometry, and clinical medicine. This intellectual culture reached the empire's frontiers, as seen here in the Alhambra of Spain. Architects utilized new mathematical formulas to create these repeating geometric patterns, reflecting a worldview where science and art were inseparable. While much of Western Europe saw a decline in urban infrastructure and literacy, Islamic scholars synthesized global traditions into an empirical methodology that would eventually provide the foundation for the scientific revolution. For 600 years, the Ottoman Empire acted as the political center of the Islamic world. That center disappeared after World War I, when the empire collapsed and the caliphate was officially abolished. European powers redrew the map of the Middle East, carving the region into new states with straight, arbitrary borders. These lines often cut through historic communities, entirely ignoring the ethnic and religious identities of the people living there. In the mid-20th century, the discovery of massive oil reserves beneath these new states radically shifted global wealth toward the Persian Gulf. This rapid industrialization transformed the geopolitical importance of the region almost overnight. The current volatility of the Middle East is the result of these colonial borders being forced onto ancient populations, further complicated by the sudden influence of vast fossil fuel wealth. Despite its origins in the Middle East, The modern reality of the faith is much more diverse. Indonesia, home to the Baitur Rahman Grand Mosque seen here, currently has the largest Muslim population of any country on earth. This global community is unified by the 5 pillars, a set of core practices that include daily prayer, fasting during Ramadan, and giving a portion of one's wealth to the needy. While political headlines often emphasize friction, the faith serves as a standardized moral and legal code for millions. This framework, known as Sharia, a faith-based code of conduct, provides a structured guide for matters ranging from dietary laws to social and commercial ethics. The most visible sign of this unity is the Hajj, an annual pilgrimage that draws millions of people from every continent to a single point in Mecca. They gather to circle the Kaaba, the cube-shaped building that serves as the focal point of Islamic prayer. 14 centuries ago, this faith provided the structure to unite the warring tribes of a single desert. Today, its legacy is a global system that maintains a strict theological center while absorbing the cultures of nearly a quarter of humanity.